welcome. Audience, as always, thank you, Father, for the day. Thank you all for being here ready to share in and hear a conversation that could change your life. It could change someone that you love. It could change their lives. And I always want to remind each of you that our guest is here today and you are here today. Please remember you matter, your story matters, you're a precious child of God, and you are very much loved. So, again, thank you for being here. Welcome our incredible guest, Anat Peri. I'm going to say it this way. Anat so dear, she understands that I have kind of a heavy accent. And, Anat, I'm going to read a little bit because she's done so much and her story is extremely powerful. But Anat, she's an inner child expert, emotional intelligence speaker. She is the founder of Training Camp for the Soul. We all need those. With over 20 years in personal growth and leadership, she teaches nervous system regulation. Oh my gosh. Well, let's ask her a lot about breathing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she talks about reparenting work to help individuals and leaders break free from survival strategies and create conscious, emotionally aligned lives and relationships. Her work bridges deep healing, what I love most about it, with very practical application so that this transformation lasts a lifetime. That's a lot. Welcome, Anat. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Carol, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Okay, so you've done a lot and you do a lot. Just before this show, pre-show, you and I were talking about that it's been go, 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 retreat, coaching, all the things you do, and you actually had 1 or 2 days of realigning and regulating your own nervous system. You have to practice what you preach all the time, correct?
Absolutely. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be able to survive, make it. Well, actually, to be honest with you, there were years ago, prior to COVID, my work was predominantly retreats. I used to lead a retreat every other month. And I had a team, but I was only one facilitating. Team was more like integration support or in the kitchen and things like that. And it'd be 6 participants, 6 days, and I would lead about 10 healing sessions a day.
Wow.
So it was like 60 healing sessions in a matter of 6 days. And I have no idea who that woman was.
Right.
What I can tell you is that even though I've been in this work as long as I have, uh, I was dysregulated up until 2022 when I hosted a different type of retreat with a girlfriend of mine. It was a women's retreat in Mexico. And my 6 day retreats are more like intensives. Like, let's get real. And I don't do them anymore. But my experience at this retreat 3 years ago, which was more pleasure oriented and connection to the body and movement, and then we would take like 3 hour lunch breaks and enjoy being by the pool. Carol, what happened to me during that retreat, I mean, I know I was hosting it with my girlfriend, but that retreat was for me
Wow.
because it down regulated. I didn't realize how much I was constantly operating in go, go, go mode, whether it's just mentally or physically. Um, and that reset me where I came back. Usually I come back from retreats and I'm wiped. And I came back revitalized. And I started to remember like, oh, yeah, this is what's happening. is that our nervous system will get used to wherever it resides most of the time,
Mm.
and we'll think that we're not stressed. We'll think that like, oh no, I'm good. No, no, no. You've you've just adjusted to being used to always being in that hyper vigilant, let's say, or hyperactive state, that only when you give yourself a hard reset, like having 6 days with women in this pleasurable retreat experience where you're being served everything, you don't have to go anywhere. Because even a vacation doesn't always do that. I don't
That's
know.
exactly what I
My
was thinking.
my vacations with my husband, I love them, but we are like adventuring. We're like getting up early, sightseeing, doing all the things, going out to eat, all that stuff. It's still like, it's not relaxing. It's incredibly entertaining and adventurous. So this was the reset that coming back from it, I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot. I forgot what it is to feel this regulated." And from that moment on, I really went deep into the work of nervous system and added it to my body of work, which was predominantly around inner child healing and emotional healing and all that. So yeah, so who I am today and how I operate in my business has shifted a lot. And it can, and as I continue to evolve, the work evolves. But when I heard you say that, I thought about, well, I wasn't always this way. And it wasn't that long ago. So yeah.
I love that because I think often as coaches and mentors, give, 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 give. And you forget how important it is, and you can give more and be an example of how to be more if you're really taking care of yourself. And I also love, Anat, that you address how you and your work
Hmm.
continue to evolve
Hmm.
because you're willing to not only do the work, but you stay open and you were able to recognize, okay, there's another level here of work, not only to share, but to practice.
Hmm.
I can't imagine how that has elevated your business. I mean, do you see a difference in what you're sharing with clients?
um, I mean, absolutely, especially inside of like my certification program for my students to understand how foundational this is in supporting a client to heal whatever is there. So I'll give you a metaphor for this. When we think of the inner child in my body of work, the inner child is your emotions. So, whether it's happy, horny, excited, or angry, sad, frustrated, it's your inner child. It's also the part of you that holds um, all the memories and beliefs learned in childhood. And so, thinking about the emotions, we have this ocean of emotions, and if you don't tend to those emotions, then then somebody has then you stay overwhelmed.
Hmm.
And when you stay overwhelmed and you don't know how to tend to it, your bodyguards will take over. Everybody has a primary and secondary survival pattern that will kick in and take the wheel, so to speak. Throw that child in the back seat, throw that child in the trunk. If you're experiencing depression and you're that disconnected from yourself and your emotions, most likely your inner child isn't even in the back seat. You can't even hear it.
Hmm.
So the importance of like that I've come to see in the past 3 4 years of the nervous system in all that is that until we learn how to regulate our breath and regulate and down regulate it ourselves, we can't even address something that overwhelms us even more,
Hmm.
like an emotion. So think of your ocean as your ocean of emotions. You live in LA, you got the beach right there. You know what I'm talking about. You've gone and seen the surfers, right? So you see a surfer come to the beach before they get in the water, they stretch and they put on their wetsuit and then they get in. And I think about our ability to cultivate safety, our ability to know how to work with our nervous system and come back to our body and our breath as that warm up, that stretch, that putting on the wetsuit before you go into the ocean. So, a lot of us, we don't know, we've forgotten how to feel. I mean, myself personally, my own journey is, and I did a TED talk on this. I grew up with a mom that her motto was like, think positive, like everything's fine, everything's great. I mean, she was loving and attentive, but the way that she handled when I wasn't happy or calm was to just tell me, you're fine, everything's good, everything's great, not realizing that that wasn't training me on how
Right.
to handle those type of emotions that arise. And so then as I went into my teenage years and adult years, when difficult emotions came up for me, I mean, I would just be anxious and I would collapse, and I was very codependent on like all my any friend that would listen. I would dump it on them instead of learning how to feel through my feelings. It was like, here's my inner child with a stinky diaper and screaming like crazy. Um, and so I share that because so many of us don't know what it's like to feel anymore, to really get into our emotions and feel through something. And so that alone creates even more dysregulation because if you say to yourself, I don't want to feel this way, your nervous system says, okay, well, let me protect you from it.
Hmm.
And it protects you by putting you into fight, flight, freeze, or please. And so a lot of people are walking around stuck in those states. So for me, it was flight. It was, I'm running. I'm always running from it. So if you're experiencing a lot of anxiety, like everything is moving really fast in your system and it feels like it's never ending, that's that flight feeling. And I spent most of my adolescent years to early adult years in that state constantly.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm going to back up a little bit to what you've said. I wish that I was living on the water there. My daughter, one of my precious daughters, and she's there, so I get to visit a lot. The other
Yeah.
thing is, I'm a surfer fan. I don't know how,
Uh-huh.
and I very much know how and have and watch because I do love to watch surfers. I love the thinking of the preparation, the breathing, the stretching, putting on the suit. It's a process before they commit to this beautiful yet, literally life threatening if you're not crazy,
Unknown. Yeah, unknown.
you're stepping into the unknown and the awe of the ocean, right? So 100% I can relate to that, and I'm sure the audience does as well. And to your point, so often get up, go, do the next thing, go to the next thing. How does it feel? Well, no time to think about that. I'll think about that later. And I'm just going to keep doing and being, right? And not this pause and preparation for what's next or
Hmm.
dealing with emotions that have come up from what was before. I think that, and I so much relate to putting the inner child in the trunk, someplace out of sight, out of mind. You're going to get taken care of later. Maybe,
Hmm.
probably not. Anyway, you're going to be back there. And I love that metaphor as well because as one of 11 kiddos, we were just piling in. Who was in the back? Who was in the front? You know what I mean? I can see that so much. Just that needs to go not only to the way back, let's just go to the trunk.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that child, one way or another, is going to get that diaper changed
Mhm.
by somebody. And maybe that so often people are reaching out to relationships to fulfill something that really could be addressed.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
And
just, wow.
and it's and it's when your bodyguards are running the show, are in the driver's seat, it doesn't mean that you're failing in life.
Mm-mm,
There's usually some area that you are humming in, that you're successful in, but other areas that you're not. And it's not your higher self. It's not the truth of who you are. And so it's limiting in some way. It is survival. That's all it is. It's a state of survival. Because who needs bodyguards? Someone that needs protection to make sure that they what? Survive.
mm-hmm,
So the opportunity of learning to tend to ourselves, to move through whatever we're feeling, which by the way has been proven that an emotion could be processed through in 90 seconds when we're actually expressing it and feeling it.
mm,
90 seconds. Think about how much time we spent ruminating in our head about it versus actually feeling it or stuffing it down or anything like that.
uh,
The
let me
opportunity is to get in the
90
driver's seat.
90 seconds.
Mhm.
I mean, two things. One is you pointed out earlier so beautifully that in your home you had this loving, caring mother. And I want the audience to pay very close attention here. There's trauma even in these loving, caring, fab, and I am guilty of that. I am very positive. I think I'm sure for some people I can be annoyingly positive. However, I do realize, and this is from my kiddos actually teaching me this through life. You know, our kids are our greatest teachers, but
Yeah.
I have to be very careful to still acknowledge the emotion. It's not that being positive is nothing but a good thing. However,
Mm-hmm.
you can't
Mm-hmm.
skip over the reality of emotions
Exactly.
that are going on.
Exactly.
And
The
there's
children.
trauma from
Yep.
that. It doesn't have
Yep.
to be a trauma that everybody knows trauma. This is from a very, let's call it a very peaceful, good place. There can still be trauma because we're not dealing with emotion.
Exactly. They call it, so there's a difference between big T trauma, which is any type of abuse, neglect, sometimes for some people, divorce. What you're talking about is developmental trauma. It's that we didn't get the learning that we needed in order to develop in a way that supports us in functioning in the best way as adults. It's also on a nervous system level, trauma is any experience that your nervous system did not have full awareness and capacity to fully process appropriately. So it leaves these like open loops. So I love that you brought this up because I think that when people think of inner child work, still to this day, there's still this stigma around it or a lack of understanding that when people hear inner child work, they think, oh, but my childhood was great. My parents were married, mom and dad were great, they loved each other, they were good with me, so I don't need that. That's for someone who has like trauma. And the truth is that it's for everyone. We all have some level of like developmental trauma and it just means that it could be just limiting beliefs. You inherit a script from
Right.
mom and dad and you never question that script.
Right.
Maybe you learned from dad that you have to work hard and perform. And now you're burnt out in your career and you're unhappy, but you feel that you can't leave it and you have to keep going. Or maybe your mom was wonderful. Mom was wonderful. She took care of everything and everyone. She did everything for us. Oh, really? Did you ever see her do anything for herself? No, I didn't. Oh, and now you wonder why you struggle taking time for yourself and doing anything for yourself.
Right.
So it's little things like that that we get to explore and give ourselves an opportunity to unlearn. Because otherwise, you're surviving that script, that as the only way to live life, as opposed to becoming the creator of your reality
Mm.
and choosing to continue to create and to step into a new version of yourself. There's an exercise that I take my students through at in the intensive part of the certification program, and it's all around archetypes. And I give them two lists. One is archetypes that they want to retire, and ones to step into. There's about like 100 on each one. And I tell them pick one that feels easy and one that feels edgy. Easy meaning I just never put focus on this. Now that I'm declaring this, I know I could easily let this one go and step into this one. And one that feels edgy, like it's going to bring up some emotions, it's going to bring up some limiting beliefs. Well, guess what? I still participate. So does my team. Every time I'm looking at that thing, I've been doing this since beginning 2020 was the first time that I introduced that. So every year I look at, is there anything that I want to shift in the movie of my life, my script, any roles I'm playing that I don't want to play anymore? Like
Mm.
one of the ones, I think you and I spoke about this, one of the ones that I'm letting go of is the busy one.
Oh,
Always being busy, busy, busy. And it's so interesting because I declared that one at the retreat, and that one was the easy one for me. And you know what happened the next 6 days at the retreat? I got sick.
no.
Not sick, viral sick, but like Santa Ana winds. You live in California, the Santa Ana winds from the east. They pick up all the dust and the stuff and the crap. And I was in dry weather, and it forced me to slow down and not be able to even be busy at the retreat. And one of the ones that I'm stepping into is the communicator. Like, where's there room for me to even be better in my communication? So I share this because people have to get that, like, when you step into becoming a creator, you get to always reinvent yourself.
Yes.
Every year looks so different for me. I'm not living in Groundhog's Day. And that is what it is to live consciously as opposed to just on repeat.
That's incredible. And I love that as a creator, we're always creating something new and we are becoming something new through those creations, which is so cool. I want to back up to something that you said. Well, it's a question. This not, and this is a little bit ago in our conversation, but you said people don't realize 90 seconds you can get ready to step forward and you can take
Mhm.
care of something that you might spend days, hour, weeks, a lifetime ruminating about. Can you
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you're going back to the conversation of your emotions, your
Yes.
feelings, and your nervous system. So you're either working with your nervous system or your nervous system is just working for you.
Um,
And so we have to learn to first work with our nervous system because the nervous system responds to everything that happens in zero point 0.2 seconds. And your mind, your conscious awareness of whatever is happening, whether it's externally or internally, receives that message in 2 seconds. So your
mm,
nervous system responds 10 times faster.
mm.
So just like, okay, you live in LA, you get this. How many
No,
times have you?
it's so funny. I'm in Texas.
Why did I think you were in
I,
LA?
because we were talking about seeing you out in
Oh,
LA. My one of my precious daughters lives there.
oh, okay,
And
that's
I
what
had
it is.
just gotten
Got it.
back, but that's okay.
Okay,
We
okay,
can talk LA
okay.
terms. A lot of our
E-
audience is there.
Either way, all of us have sat in traffic or been on a
Oh,
highway where suddenly somebody slams the brakes and you react so fast that you're like, oh my God, thank God. Like that
Yes.
ability to react that fast, that's your nervous system,
Okay. Great
right?
example.
So, um, so we can have positive thinking. We could have good intentions. We could have the intention to never react this way again. But if that's not aligned and programmed into your nervous system, you're never, guess what's going to happen? It's going to happen again
Every time.
every time because your conscious awareness it gets there too late. It was like it's already happened. And we've all experienced that. And then we beat ourselves up about it. Well, this is why. So I I I know this doesn't quite answer your question yet, but I wanted to give this background to understand that first we have to learn to work with our nervous system.
Mhm.
And that means to, like I said before, stretch and put on the wetsuit, meaning to regulate the breath, to cultivate safety in our system. I have a great guided um, breathwork and somatic practice freebie for your whole audience.
Oh,
So they can
thank you.
experience like starting to cultivate that safety within. So when you do that, you're already going from being in this, like, for me, for example, running state, like overwhelmed state, to neutrality. That then you could actually tune into those emotions that are there and imagine, like, the difference between reacting to an emotion, which a lot of times we label as good or bad. Like
Mhm.
happy, horny, yes, more of those, please. You never question, why am I horny? Why am I happy? But yet we will question, why am I sad? Why am I annoyed? Why am I frustrated? How can I stop feeling this way? And so we put it in these two different buckets. And the second that we say, I don't want to feel this way, or why am I feeling this way, and we question it, we are indicating to our nervous system a threat. And the second it notices a threat, it's going to protect you from it. It's going to work for you. So to start to work with it is to get curious,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
not about why, because asking the question, why do I feel this way, just puts you into analyzing.
Mm-hmm.
And analysis creates paralysis, which means you're in your head, you're not in your body, you're not where that energy resides. To get curious. So instead of saying, why do I feel this way? Instead, you say, oh, I'm feeling sad or I'm feeling annoyed. What's happening in my body right now? Oh, there's constriction in my throat and I feel I can't even really swallow and it's hot and it's tight. And so what you're doing then is you're naming sensations. And sensations create neutrality. It's not good sensation, bad. It just is. And sensations are the language of the nervous system. So
Wow.
now you're communicating with the nervous system. You're activating a part of your brain that is that is signaling that state of like openness and curiosity as opposed to threat.
You know, I was always I'm a fan of curiosity on all the
Mm-hmm.
levels. I think it takes away judgment. I love it creates,
Exactly.
I love that you're saying sensation is the language of the nervous system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So starting to name whatever the sensations are. If there's a texture, a size, a temperature, a color, a weight to it. And it's not about getting it perfect. It's just whatever you could sense, it's already going to take you into a state of allowance, of curiosity, of safety. So you're basically saying to your nervous system, hey, let's look behind door number two. It's okay. We're safe too. And so now you're in partnership. Now you go from your nervous system just working for you to you working with your nervous system.
Mm-hmm. This is
So
fun.
that so then we talk about the 90 seconds of that you can move through an emotion. And this was there was a Harvard neuroscientist, Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, that talks about this a lot. That she's done studies on this, on emotions can be processed through in 90 seconds if we're not judging it, trying to fix it, but actually allowing ourselves to express it. So now let's talk about actually expressing it. Because as adults, Carol, most adults, we don't know how to express an emotion. We know how to suppress. We have been programmed to suppress. Don't, we're in public, don't cry, or don't, don't be so loud, or, calm down. It's like, or you're too excited, simmer down. Everything is about suppressing it, not expressing it. You have some grandchildren, right? You
Yes,
got
three
any? Yeah.
grandbaby
So
girls. I was just
yeah.
thinking about
Uh-huh.
at dinner last night.
Yeah. So if you if you tell a 3-year-old, guess what? We're going to Disney next weekend. We're going to see Mickey Mouse. How are they going to react?
Right. Excited, loud. So wherever you're telling them, they might just get all
They're
out
going to
of
run
control.
around.
That's
Yeah, we
right.
call it out of control, but really they are fully expressing the joy.
Yes.
They'll probably jump up and down, maybe run around, maybe come over, give you a hug. There'll be some facial expression. So there's everything from some sound emoting from them to some joyful, happy, smiling, laughing facial expression to some like excited body language.
Right.
This is what it is to express.
Yes.
Now take that same child and their older sibling took the toy from them. Now they're upset. Again, they don't come over to you and say, Grandma, I'm upset. You'd be like, what's wrong with this robot? But that's us as adults suppressing what we're feeling. Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. When you're really not. No, you'd see that child run over to you, and again, there'd be some facial expression and some sound, and probably some tears and some banging their hands and feet because they're frustrated because their big brother is mean to them again. Again, expressing. And as a parent, if you validate and acknowledge what they're feeling, if you say, yeah, you're upset. Yeah, totally get it. Yeah, it's okay. Feel that. Feel that. Yeah, feel it. Or, yeah, or you even mirror it back to them. Not in a
Right.
mocking way, but,
Right.
just part of it you mirror. You're not going to join them in it, but you're just like, yeah, yeah, of course you're sad. Yeah, they took the toy from you. Yeah, you're frustrated, right?
Right.
You'll see that within 90 seconds, they're over it.
Because you
They're ready to
neutralized it by acknowledging it. Allow
a
it
lot
to
of
be what it is, not try to change it
a lot of
or
times,
suppress
yeah, we'll say you're fine or stop crying. Don't make a big deal. So then they hold it and then later they explode into something else and you call it a tantrum, but really they've been holding 10 different emotions. Or you start trying to talk to them too soon. getting them into their logic, which, by the way, a child's prefrontal cortex, the logic part of their brain, isn't formed. It doesn't even
Right.
start to form until they're 7 years old. So here you are trying to have a teaching moment, an adult conversation with your kid, saying, or saying, well, why do you feel that way? What is it that you need? And you'll notice that a lot of times when parents try and talk to their kid while the kid is having their reaction, the kid gets even more
Oh,
loud and annoyed because they're just like, do me a favor, shut up and just give me your loving presence to express what I'm feeling.
yeah.
And
Um,
so it lasts longer and longer because the parents are getting in the way of it instead of validating and acknowledging it. And listen, it's not our fault. It's that a lot of parents, they don't give permission to themselves to express. So for some parents, I've seen this a lot where it's like the mom has capacity for it, the dad does not at all because he suppresses so much that anytime the kid gets loud, he's just like, this is so overwhelming for me. And it's just, and it's because it's it's poking at his inner child that he hasn't validated or felt through.
I can give such an adult example. I'll use myself. Maybe this has never happened to anyone in the audience or to you, but in a relationship,
Mhm.
if you're just like suppressing, 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 rather than acknowledging without drama, but acknowledging and allowing something to come to neutral. I am guilty of suppress, 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 explode.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, not only was this not handled correctly for myself or the other person, it also becomes more about the explosion and me being crazy rather than all the little things that were being suppressed that so easily, 90 seconds or less, it sounds like I could have just been acknowledging.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I remember I was driving with my husband was driving. We were coming back from the movies one night, and he said something, and we got into this little like it felt like a beginning of like a miscommunication, and I noticed my system get overwhelmed. Where if I continue to engage, I'm not engaging for my higher self anymore.
yeah, oh yeah.
And so I said to him, and again, I still mess this up all the time,
Well, thank good.
but
Thank you for acknowledging that. You're
yeah,
human.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely human. Yes, it's a constant tending to the garden and hoping that it sticks.
Yeah.
But I remember saying to him in that moment, he was like waiting for my response, and I said, I need a few moments. And I just sat there in the car and I took the deep breaths to regulate and I tuned into whatever sensation was there and because it was just the beginning of something starting to percolate. There was no real like emotion or belief around it. It was just some agitation. And I waited until I felt calm again. And again, if you've never done this, you may not even know what that's like. But as you bring it into practice, like if you use my guide, my cultivating safety guide, you'll start to recognize the difference of when you're in your what we call your window of tolerance and when you're outside of it. So it took me probably about 2 minutes, and then I was like, okay, now I can engage. And now this is the place that I want to engage from. Um,
I mean, congratulations on that. And again, I know the audience appreciates when people, experts, come in, they've
mhm.
been studying and doing this work for so long, and they're like, look, like in everything else, progress, not perfection. If
Oh
we
no.
can do that one time out of 10 to begin with, just because, and then next thing you know, maybe three times out of 10. And the
Mhm.
more we practice, the more natural it becomes.
Exactly. Exactly. 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. I also failed it completely this past Friday. So
I
and
love
so
that.
it's not perfection, and it's not about it
Oh,
never happening. It's how quick it's not about the rupture, it's also then about the repair and being
yeah.
able to repair even if it's an hour later, but that and and moving forward from there. So yeah, very much human. So I want to just wrap up the whole thing about the 90 seconds of like
Yes.
why is that in my terms, not how Jill Bolt Taylor explains it, but really in me. So when you're expressing it, it's like riding that wave in the ocean. So you're in the ocean and the wave comes, and if you're like, why why this wave? Why this size? What happens? You get plummeted. So it's like, don't waste time asking why. Name the sensations, which to me is kind of like stabilizing on the surfboard. When you go to stand up on the board, it's like, okay, stabilize. And then you ride that wave. And what happens with that wave is it either crashes and before it gets to shore or brings you all the way to shore. Meaning sometimes there's an emotion, and underneath that emotion, there's another emotion
Mm.
before you come back to what I call the land of peace and possibility. So that's like my metaphor for you. Now, on a nervous system level, when you are expressing it using your whole body. So when people say, well, how do I express my feelings? I'm like, imagine you're 2 years old. How would a or 3 years old or 4, 5 even, and express it like that, just like that. Really? Yeah. I've done this with, I did this at an event um, that I guest teach for. There were, I think, 600 people in the room.
Yeah,
And
I love it.
we had them all pair up, and one person was the cheerleader, kind of the person at shore saying, "You can do it. Keep going, keep going." And the other person was the one to just like bring the body into it. So it's like there's some body language, there's some facial expression, there's some sound you're emoting. Remove the words, remove the curse words, remove talking words, just emote sound that if someone was watching that movie, they'd be like, oh, that person is angry, or that person's excited, or that person's discouraged or annoyed.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And so when you do that, you're using all your energy to focus on this expression, and you're retraining. I don't even want to say training. You're retraining what you've suppressed. You're retraining your nervous system for this energy so that the next time it arises, your nervous system knows what to do in those point 0.2 seconds. It knows that, oh, this is safe, and when something's safe, your nervous system will metabolize it. It will learn it, it will metabolize it, and it will discharge it.
Well, and a lot of that needs to go on.
Yeah. And so um all that so it's like, think of it like 90 seconds of data. You're feeding data to your nervous system. And yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't, again, Dr. Jill's the one that came up with it. I've just seen the proof of it over and over again that it's 90 seconds. If it's longer, it's most likely because there's another emotion underneath it. But it's very, I mean, to see it in a room with 600 people doing it, and
Wow.
some of them were just like, and by the way, it's not always the quote unquote negative emotions. For some people, it's the pleasant ones that they don't allow themselves to really feel, the joy, the gratitude. For some people, that is unsafe to them because they've been programmed all their life for chaos. So something good happens, and instead of basking in the goodness of it, they're quick to already say, "Uh-oh," but the shoe's probably going to drop right around the corner.
Yes. I just heard that expression the other day from a client that that's where she is right now. She's thinking, oh, just she has the fear of the shoe, of the other shoe dropping. I wish and I know that the audience has loved this, and I'm hoping you will come back and give us an update, and we'll get the audience to give us a lot of feedback, and we'll
Yeah.
continue this conversation. Two things. One, that is so generous of you to share a free gift with the audience. Would you tell them about that? That'll be here for you all, audience, so you can receive this, but tell them a little bit about that, Anat.
Yeah, so it's guided by me. There's some nice hypnotic music along with it. It's about 12 minutes long, but the first 7 minutes is guided. I'm guiding you through some calm breath work to then learning how to track your body, sensations, all that. And and then the last 5 minutes is just the music. So the intention is that you do the practice, you let me guide you through the practice, and then the last 5 minutes you're in the ocean of your emotions. You're meeting yourself there in that, and you're sitting with that, and maybe even, you know, choosing to express whatever you just uncovered you've been suppressing. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. I know the audience wants to thank you so much. And audience, we thank you for being here and listening to this great conversation. All the ways to follow, to get in touch with Anat, try her programs if she does another one of these amazing retreats, all the things. You know where to get that. It's here. We'll get her to come back. Let's dive in. Let's honor the time we've had here with Anat and try to recognize, set that intention to recognize and pause and feel our emotions. Let's become curious and
Mhm.
let's celebrate what she shared with us today, just to even get started and regulation and working with our nervous systems instead of just having them work for us. I can't thank you enough, Anat. I hope you'll come back. And as the audience,
Absolutely.
I mean, thank you, Father, and, hook 'em.